Don't be scared. I've done this before. Show me your teeth. Show me your teeth. Show me your teeth.
Don't want no money.
Want your money. That shit's ugly.
Just want your sex.
Want your sex.
The word vampire originally appeared as Ypres in 1047 in reference to a Russian prince. A vampire is a supernatural being commonly believed to be a reanimated corpse that is said to suck the blood of sleeping persons at night. The first widely popular fictional depiction of vampires was the 1897 book Dracula by Bram Stoker. It provided the basis of modern vampire fiction. The first movie depiction of a vampire was the German film Nosferatu, made in 1922. At this time in history, vampires were shown as creepy, ugly, deadly, a figure to be feared. Women did not lust after vampires.
Vampires started to be seen as cool in 1976 with the publication of Anne Rice's novel Interview with the Vampire. It was then made into a movie in 1994 starring Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise. This story centers around two vampires. One longs for a companion, while the other cannot bear to kill humans to satisfy his hunger. It is a story full of regret, adventure, and blood. It is a story that gives human attributes to the vampires. Even though they were creepy, they were still portrayed as attractive and lusted after. In 1991, the first Vampire Diaries book was published, further encouraging the acceptance of vampires as cool. Blade originated as a comic book in 1973. It later became a movie in 1998. Blade is a half-human, half-vampire who protects humans from vampires. This created a more involved audience by portraying vampires as attractively aggressive. Buffy the Vampire Slayer is the first television series that consistently featured vampires. It covered all ends of the vampire spectrum, showing them as evil and something to be feared, but also as romantic love interests. All of the books and movies during this time period had a significant fan base. Vampires were still seen as something to be feared, but they also began to be seen as a lust-worthy object.
So what changed vampires from being cool to a craze? Twilight was the start of the vampire craze. It was the first vampire story with mass appeal across generations. Twilight is the love story between Bella, a normal teenage girl, and Edward Cullen, a vampire. It is a tale of forbidden love. The craze reached its peak with the release of the fourth and final book in the Twilight saga in August 2009, and the release of Twilight the movie in November 2009. Twilight prompted the media and cultural obsession with vampires, where they are no longer feared, but desired. So why is it socially acceptable for women to lust after vampires? The evolution and humanization of vampires has made it socially acceptable for women to lust after them. Pop culture's portrayal of them with a conscience, fighting against their nature, and consumed with love for another person has increased their acceptability. The presence of vampires in every part of the media, books, movies, television, has also increased their social acceptance. So here's our thoughts. Twilight has changed the way vampires are seen in society. They are no longer seen as only blood-sucking monsters, but as attractive and heroic. The craze seems to have ebbed, but will continue to flow with the release of the second half of the Twilight movies. Even after the release of the final Twilight movie, die-hard fans will remain. But will stars like Robert Pattinson, Kristen Stewart, and Taylor Lautner continue to receive media coverage after the end of the craze? Or will their popularity die down like that of other well-known vampires of old? Regardless of what comes or what has passed, Twilight and other stories have altered the way we look at vampires and the actors who play them today.